Tonight, it is time to recognize Pat Buglass for her distinguished service to the sport of golf.
I would like to thank the Saskatchewan Golf Hall of Fame Committee for including me in the Golf Hall of Fame. It is an honor I will humbly accept. Thank you to Lori Harvey for her presentation of my meager accomplishments. Most of you don't realize that every summer since the inception of the Hall, Lori has written these presentations. Lori has made us all sound like we deserve to be inducted. And also, she's the best lead that one could ever have. She was also on that 1994 team. Thank you to Russ, Sherilyn, who is not with us tonight, and David. Without their support, I would have been unable to spend as much time away from home. While I was volunteering for both the curling and golf associations, I was curling competitively and attempting to do the same on the golf course. They never complained that I wasn't around. Sometimes I wondered if they were happy to see me go away so they could have the house to themselves. My first foray into volunteering for the Golf Association was course rating. When the slope system was introduced, they asked for those who might be interested to go to a seminar. It seemed like a good way to see many different golf courses around the province. It was from the sand greens at Nokomis to the beauty of northern meadows. One thing that they all had in common was the pride in their facility. Volunteers who cut grass greens on the weekend so the superintendent can have the weekend off, to the hundreds of hours they put in upgrading their courses. When we first started, we paced all the yardages. Then we got lasers, which reduced the walking. Then we got GPSs, so we could go to the exact spot we needed so that we could take our measurements. All these changes haven't seemed to reduce the time it takes to rate a golf course, which Judy will attest to. When the golf course at Riverside first opened, we went out, even taking a ferry ride. We completed our work and were playing the course. We got to that beautiful par 3 that is up on the hill looking down to the green. The thunder starts rolling across the lake. We suggested to our leader, Pat Lawson, that maybe we should quit. Her reply was, "It will go away." Down the hill we go. There is a large crack of thunder. We look at each other and say, "We are out of here." It was one of the few times I ever defied Pat's decision. Pat, we do miss you. Why did I take up working on rules? I was never known to go directly from the tee box to the green. I felt that Wenda Coley used to follow me around to get me out of some self-imposed predicament. Maybe I should have more than a rudimentary knowledge of the rules. I take the level 4 course and exam. To pass, you need 85%, 79%. Try again. 84%. This is not going to get the better of me. Finally, 93%. Now I can work national tournaments. I don't care if I work national tournaments. I don't redo that certification, but I can do provincial tournaments. Years later, the new rule book comes out, and we have to recertify. I am too old to take the course and write a 3-hour exam. Stubbornness and ego take over, and I take the exam and pass so I can still do provincial tournaments. Many of you are familiar with the 5th hole here at Riverside. I was working a Futures Links tournament and ended up stuck on that long par 3 hole. That day there was a howling wind into their faces. bushes left, bushes right, find their first ball so they can go back up to the tee and try again. Near the end of the day, we find the first ball of one of the younger competitors. He decides he's going to hit it out of the bushes. I tell him that if he loses that option of going back to the tee if he swings at the ball. With a look of terror in his big brown eyes, he says, "I am not going back up there." The ball pops out to be a playable position, much to his and my relief. A hole that most of you are not familiar with is the 6th hole at Katepwa. You stand on the back tee box and you can see for miles both ways down the Capel Valley. I'm doing rules for the Rose Bowl. The sun is shining. It is a beautiful day. I look down the valley towards Lebret. The other side of the church, there is a wall of water coming down the valley. I radio Brian and say, "We need to get the women off the golf course." All he can see is the clear blue sky. "Brian, I have lived my summers in this valley and there is a wall of water coming." Reluctantly, he sounds the horn and we manage to get everyone off the course. Rules and course rating are both weather dependent. We go to Waskatoo to rate. The first day we play the course and do the preliminary measurements. The next day we get up and it is pouring rain. We gather for breakfast and decide it would be ludicrous to attempt to rate under these conditions. Daniel Rockman, the executive director at the time, never forgave us for wasting that money. I have done rules at seniors in 40-degree heat at Weyburn, to my winter jacket and toque at a Canadian women's amateur in Prince Albert, to a seniors in Yorkton in an all-day rain. We are either very dedicated or very stupid. I was asked to become vice president of the CLGA Saskatchewan branch. For some reason, I accepted. I did not know what I was getting into. There's one of those nice little bugs here. Sask Sport was irritated that they were funding two separate organizations. As the Lottery Corporation is the organization's largest sponsor, it was best to listen to them. Con Hammer, in his Hall of Fame acceptance speech, said the relationship between the men's and the women's associations was at best to say fractious. As there had been some changes in persons involved, it was suggested that maybe now we could sit down and see if the differences could be resolved. After an initial meeting, it was realized that what both associations wanted was the best for golf in Saskatchewan. Excuse me. We took the proposal to our AGMs. There were some men who didn't want to give up their exclusive club. There were some women that feared we would lose our hard-won independence in a male-dominated organization. Many of these women had dedicated years to making it a successful organization that served the women golfers of Saskatchewan. A consensus was reached that we should form an amalgamation committee and formally work towards the joining of the two groups. In reality, there were very few contentious issues. Neither group had to give up anything that was very important to them. The first few years after amalgamation, there was a close to an even split between men and women on the board. There were women who became president: Lynn LaCroix, Mel DeLauric, and Kathy Bilfeld. The last one was in 2006. The last 16 years, things have changed. At times, there was only one woman on the board. I'm sure that some of those women that didn't want the amalgamation are up there saying, "I told you so." The moment things have improved a bit, there are now 3 women on the board members, It is becoming difficult to get women on the board. Some of it is, as women, it may be our fault for not wanting to become involved. Please step forward at both the club and provincial level so that we can change the trend of having few women represented. I was proud to be the last president of the CLGA Saskatchewan branch. I was also proud to be proud of the groundbreaking amalgamation of the two entities into the very strong Gulf Saskatchewan. The most rewarding part of becoming involved with any association is the people you meet. I have had the pleasure of working with wonderful people across the province and across the country. Why do I get involved? I grew up in a household that believed if you are part of an organization or community, you don't just take, you give back to the best of your ability, and that is what I have tried to do. Thank you.